I'm going to change the AC compressor on my Dodge Grand Caravan. It's a 2007, but more than likely this works years and years before for models and years after. Just the basic setup. So my AC compressor is gone. What I did is I have a set of AC compressor gauges, and you can see that both the PSIs are zero. What's happening there is I'll just give a brief primer on AC, I guess. So there's the way this works is there's an AC compressor. I'll show it to you. It's down there at the bottom of my car. It's the lowest component. Very easy to get to, by the way. You can really do this job easily. When you turn the car on, turn on the AC, that compressor starts spinning, and it spins off of the right there, the serpentine belt. The belt winds through the side of the car, well, the engine. It works off of the so this is my car. It works off of this flywheel that spins because of the motion of the engine, and it spins this wheel. One of the components it spins is the AC compressor right there. And when the AC compressor spins, it creates pressure in the AC system. The AC system is a I guess it's a circle of refrigerant that flows through the car, and there is what's called a low pressure side and a high pressure side. On my gauges, and every gauge, the blue is always the low pressure, the red is always the high pressure, and they connect to your car. Every car is different, but in my car, the high pressure connects with a quick connect back there, and the low pressure connects down there with a quick connect, same thing. And when the system should be pressurized. The low should be around 30. The high should be quite a multiple of that. And because I've got 0 on mine, that means that there is no pressure in the system. That means that there's a leak in the system, which I found by using an ultraviolet light. And if you don't have this sort of stuff, you might want to bring it in and just get it checked by an AC mechanic first. I use a UV light. There's fluorescent dye inside the refrigerant. The refrigerant flows through the system. You know, it used to be called Freon. They've replaced it with a more environmentally friendly substance. Right now, it's still not great for the environment. It's not as bad as Freon was. So the refrigerant runs through the system, and the conversion of pressure from the high side to the low side results in a point, which is back in the car behind your glove compartment, results in a pressure imbalance. At that point, there's a component back there that becomes very, very cold due to the pressure imbalance, and then your car flushes air or pushes air past that component, and it creates the air conditioning. So I don't have pressure in my system, which means that there's a leak. I diagnosed the leak was the AC compressor. I was getting back to the UV light, so I shone a UV light around all the likely spots, and saw a very fluorescing trickle by the AC compressor, so I knew immediately that the AC compressor had failed, and that the refrigerant was leaking out. If you're just back to the size up on this job, if you're doing this job on your own, if you really should have either some gauges like this, or bring it into a mechanic. You want to recover all the refrigerant. So my job today, as a size up, is to remove the AC compressor. It's on the bottom of the car, as I showed. You just unbolt it. You unbolt the AC pressure lines, and then you literally just drop it out and put a new one in. It's that easy. Once it's back in, you then charge the system with refrigerant. Again, that's where it's helpful to have this set of valves. If you're not comfortable doing that, bring it to an AC specialist. They'll do it for you. You can do all the work yourself, the hard work. You might not be able to do the refrigerant. The two steps: the recovery of the original refrigerant and the charging of the new refrigerant. But you should be able to do that pretty cheap. There's another component we'll get into later. It's the filter dryer. That's a component in the system that captures water that gets into the system over time, and it just filters it out and dries it basically, and leaves a pure refrigerant in the system. That's about it. So the size up is going to be this. So turn off all the electricals. We do need to disable some of the electrical supply to the AC compressor. So take your negative terminal off. Jack the car up, obviously. I talked about the serpentine belt before. You need to get under the car, and to remove the belt, I'll get right under. To remove the belt, there's the flywheel that I spoke about. There's the belt. There is a pulley, a tensioning pulley up right there. You can just, if you have the actual tool, there's a tool for this, insert it in there, pull the pulley down, and just pull the belt off, or just take the belt off the AC compressor. There's the AC compressor right there. That's the clutch assembly on the outside, and there's the AC compressor there. And this is how I get off the serpentine belt. I've just got this long. It's a kind of breaker bar thing. Just get it up there on the tensioning pulley and lever it down, and then you can just pull this serpentine belt off easily enough. So we're going to do, there's some bolts connecting the AC compressor to the frame. There's one there. They're pretty easy to spot. There's one there. There's one up in there, and there are two more in the back of the compressor. You can see those quite easily. You'll also take the electrical off. So there's a harness and a little connection, a quick connect coupler right there. You just take that off, and then you need to uninstall the high pressure and low pressure lines that go in, and I'll talk about that later. I'm doing at this moment, I've skipped ahead about a week. I couldn't complete the AC compressor job at the time I was filming, but I had to replace the radiator, so I pulled the radiator out, and I conveniently have wonderful access now to all the AC compressor bolts and components. So you can see this very easily. I'm just going to put this on the video for your assistance. There are the two bolts that this is the high side, the low side pressure. There's the high side pressure line. There's the top mounting bolt right there, and then you can see at the bottom there's the low mounting bolt. And you can't see the two other mounting bolts that are tucked into the back of the compressor. There's the connector, the electrical connector that turns on the clutch, and the little red tab that I've mentioned. I think I mentioned you would press the part with the ridge. You pull that out, and then that releases the lock. And then there's a little this little gray thing here. You just compress that and pull the connector right off. All right. So I just thought that'd be handy while we're here. This is looking at the compressor from the passenger side. So there were two mounting bolts on the driver's side. There's two mounting nuts on this side. There's one and there's two. So this the compressor hangs off of two posts on the passenger side, and it's screwed into the frame or the engine on the driver's side. Little tip: there is a locking bolt on each of the high and low pressure lines entering the AC compressor. So what I did there, you can see. I manually fit it's a 13 millimeter socket onto the top bolt. That is, I think it's the high pressure. And then I used a socket wrench with a one of those wobbly joint adjusters, and I manually fit that on. Then I was able to just get down there and get that bolt off. Now. And I fit the original socket on there from below the car, and then I came up to the top and I fit the socket wrench on there. Now, what some people tell you to do is remove the alternator. That would definitely be helpful, but I figure this is not too hard to get off, right? And then there's the one pressure line right below it. You have to get it from the bottom. It's easier. You just get a closed-ended wrench onto the other bolt on the bottom, and it comes off easily. Just to get oriented, the left of the camera over here, that's the front of the car, this is the engine. So I'm just panning underneath. There's the AC compressor, and then what I wanted to show you was I've got my screwdriver, my wrench on the one of the pressure line bolts underneath, or it's a nut actually, not a bolt. Okay, so you can just fit that on there and then just bang it a bit and it'll come off, right? I've already done the top. All right, there's just a little snippet on getting the high and low pressure lines off. Get my screwdriver in there. So the top line comes off quite easily. The bottom one is fit. These two couplings or whatever fitting. They're really put in together, and then I had trouble getting this one off. So what I did is I undid the AC compressor so it was loose, and then I just wobbled it around a little bit till a little crack appeared between the line and the compressor. I got a screwdriver in there and then just twisted, and it popped right off. Taking off the mounting bolts, it's a 15 millimeter bolt that goes in. I used a wrench to loosen it up, and then I'll use a socket to pull it out. And there's 4 of those, all same size. This is the AC compressor. I've taken it off the vehicle. Those are the 2 mounting brackets, so those are vertical. They're on top of each other, so you can imagine where the position of this is versus the engine. This is on the side and up a little bit. This is the clutch that spins, so the serpentine belt spins that. It turns pistons inside that creates the pressure. My problem was, you can see the refrigerant leaking out of here. That is why I couldn't hold a vacuum, so the bearing in here must be broken or something like that. I'm going to buy a new compressor, switch the whole thing out. My system was vacuumed properly by a professional, so there's no refrigerant in this system. You can see a little bit of residual out there. What I'm going to do now is buy the new one, replace it. Before that, I'll show you a little video on the oil. You need to put lubricating oil into the low pressure end on this side. And there's you look it up online or whatever, you'll find the oil spec, how much, and the type. So I'm going to put, I think in this one it's 6 ounces of PAG 46, PAG 46, but I'll look it up because every little compressor is a little bit different, and the one that you buy might have the specs on there. Removing the receiver dryer. I've already taken this up. You have to take the air cover housing off. There's a clip here. There's a clip in the back. You need to use a flathead screwdriver and loosen up the clamp that's around this, and then this just pops right up and out of the way, and that will expose the receiver dryer. You might want to take this big hose off as well, but there's the receiver dryer back in there, and that's what we need to take off. That's a new receiver dryer. It comes with 2 O-rings. You're supposed to put just under an ounce, 0.8 ounces, into this receiver dryer, which I did, as you can see on the top. And then the O-rings, you're supposed to coat them lightly in a little bit of that refrigerant oil. So I'll do that and then install the component. I got the receiver dryer resituated. I got to say, the right-hand side, that's the high pressure. The new O-ring I got on there, I had to cut the old one off. I just could not get my hand down there. But the new one went on easy enough. It was hard getting the fitting popped back into the new receiver dryer, and I found I had to get it as close as I could, and then I used the bolt, and the bolt pressed it in and compressed the O-ring in, and got it set properly. Okay. There are the 2 hoses. Lines, I should say. High pressure, low pressure. Low pressure big, high pressure small, as you would imagine. Each of these have an O-ring, so replace those O-rings and put a little oil, compressor oil, on each of those. And then I've taken the one off, but there's a compression gasket that just fits on around this. It's the same shape as that fitting. And just pop that back on. I'm going to add the correct amounts of compressor oil into the compressor. So the spec, actually, I've got it here. The spec on my car is, and you can see it on the bottom, ND8 PAG compressor oil. Now, that wasn't available to me up here, and I looked online, and the equivalent to that is PAG 46. So I bought that. The compressor requires 6 ounces, so I've got that measured out. I put half in already. What you do is put in the oil and then give the clutch a spin. I'm not going to do it because it won't come up. But what you'll do then is it lubricates all the parts. There's some pistons and things like that in there, and that'll get the oil all around the component on the inside. I'm not sure how common this is, but I've just noticed that my new AC compressor doesn't have these posts, the threaded posts that come out. And in fact, I need to take them out of my old compressor and screw them into the new one in order for the bolts to fit back in. There you can see I've just pulled one of the O-rings off just for your reference. They just slide right off, so I'll slide the new one back on again with a little oil.